In July of 2013, my buddy Daryl and I decided to go on a camping trip on our WindRider 17 sailboats. We met in Saskatchewan. Daryl had his friend Corey with him, and Daryl's dog Gracie as well. Highway 219 heads south from Saskatchewan. Initially, it goes through the Whitecap Dakota First Nation. After passing through Dakota Whitecap, the highway leads through an area where there's a lot of grassland. That opens up into grainlands. The drive takes about an hour and 20 minutes. It isn't long before we see the sign for Elbow and turn off. The village of Elbow sits above the lake, and as you approach it, you get a first glance of the lake itself. You can see it stretching out into the west. We launched at Tufts Bay, just on the edge of the village of Elbow. It's an excellent boat launch in a protected bay. We had a great day going for us. Beautiful blue sky, sunshine, and as we were leaving the boat launch, there was no wind, so we motored out until we got into some open water, and there the breezes coming from the southeast grabbed us, and away we went. All three of us had camped before, but never on a sailboat. This was a learning curve for us. Daryl, with himself, Corey, and Gracie on board, was loaded down pretty heavy. There are three arms to the lake near Elbow where we launched. The southeast arm empties into the Capel River chain. The northeast arm continues towards the dam, the north end of the lake itself, near Outlook, Saskatchewan. Our route as we left Elbow was to take the southwest arm. That arm is the one that will lead you to Saskatchewan landing. After a wonderful afternoon of sailing and the sun starting to move down in the horizon, we knew it was time to look for a place to camp for the night. Daryl kept his eyes open and finally spotted a place that looked very promising. It was a nice cove, pulled their WindRiders in and up onto a sandy beach, and we were set for the night. Camping breakfast of bacon and eggs cooked in the open and eaten on the beach is a great way to start a morning. We stashed all our gear back on board our WindRiders and headed out again. Starting off, the morning was just nice, steady breeze, but it wasn't long before that breeze had picked up substantially, and we were moving right along. The skies had a bit of an ominous look. We could see that there was some kind of a change coming our way. We were pleased to have the wind, and we were taking full advantage of it. Lake Diefenbaker was the result of two dams placed on the South Saskatchewan River. Starting in 1959, the lake was finally filled by 1967. The lake itself is 225 kilometers from one end to the other. There's 800 kilometers of shoreline. Much of it is sandy and well suited to a trimaran like the WindRider. If you want to pull up just about anywhere along the lake for an afternoon picnic, or stretch your legs, or to camp for the night. With the wind picking up, I decided that it was time to put a reef in my mainsail. Daryl, on the other hand, felt that he had enough ballast, and he carried on with a full sail.
Big bang, clap, roar, cosmic supers from the shore, live sky, land, sea, competition, birds and bees, river runs short to bend a bay, earth revolves another day, cities rise, grow, fall, nothing new, you know.
Throughout the 3 days, Daryl and I took turns taking the lead. Sometimes he was able to make better headway than I. Other times it was the other way around.
Newton's apple, sudden squall, Stockrush, Humpty Dumpty's fall, Buddha, Thought, Prometheus, Amaterasu, Atman, Zeus, Marzipan, matzah, dumplings, noodles, baked Alaska, sushi, strudel, hunters, gatherers, city-states, theocracies, and shogunates, and Moa. It's like that old revolving door.
The WindRider 17 trimarans were definitely in their element on this trip, and they showed themselves off to the best of advantage. The WindRiders are a lot of fun to sail, and they're so well suited for this kind of a situation. We continued in a southwesterly direction, and as the day wore on, we could see a geological formation ahead, but none of us were quite prepared for what lay in store. This island was covered with birds, marine birds of various kinds, seagulls, cormorants, pelicans, and likely other birds that we didn't identify. We did see some ducks as well, floating nearby. We don't know what the locals call this island, but we named it Bird Island for obvious reasons. We carried on for Bird Island, and sometime after that we caught sight of the Riverhurst ferry. The ferry operates 24 hours a day, making a crossing in each direction once an hour. The beach near the ferry landing provided an excellent opportunity for us to pull on shore and stretch our legs. It had been a long afternoon.
Too much when it's windy. We've been through some really stormy stuff.
After that welcome break, we jumped back on board and headed out. This time we knew that it was getting late in the afternoon and it was time to look for a place to spend the night. Daryl led us into a promising bay, but the further we went in, the more convinced we were that there was just no good place for us to spend the night. So we backed our way out again and finally came to rest for the night a little further down the lake. We awoke the third morning to a cool and brisk wind. We cooked and ate our breakfast behind the shelter of one of the tents. Following that, in the wind, we folded up the tents the best we could, loaded everything back on board, and we're on our way again. There was a certain urgency for Daryl and I on our last day. It was Corey's anniversary that evening in Saskatchewan, and we had to get him back in time for that. That meant we had to sail back in one day the distance that we had covered in the 2 previous days. And it all depended on how the wind played as to whether or not we were going to be successful. We made our way past Riverhurst and on towards Bird Island. This time, when we got to the island, Daryl took the inland route and went around. I was quite a ways behind them, and so I stayed out in the middle of the lake. As the day wore on, the winds become lighter, until finally, by mid-afternoon, the winds had died off to a point where we had to motor for a while. Then, just when we thought we were going to have to put up with the sound of our motors for all the way home, the wind picked up again. Soon we were able to see Albo off in the distance. It's always satisfying to be able to sail into your home port, and with that wind, that welcome wind in the afternoon, we were able to do just that. And that gave Corey and Daryl a chance to load their boat and get on their way back to Saskatoon in time for Corey's anniversary. The 3 days were a great success, and we're already planning for 2014, a continuation of our trip, starting off where we left this year and continuing on to Saskatchewan Landing. Perhaps you'd like to join us. We would love to see some more WindRider sails out on the lake and have some more WindRider boats pulled up on shore each evening when we camp for the night. Stay tuned and for more details. Bye for now.